from Nairobi, Kenya, this is the Daily Report. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. On sign language interpretation is Catherine Simaloi. Being the 5th of March, just inching closer to International Women's Day, tonight on The Marketplace, we focus on women in entrepreneurship and just taking a look at the barriers that women in businesses are facing. All that, but first to the highlights. Tonight, youth set Shauri Moyo police station on fire after fatal shooting of 2 teenagers.
Na yetu aliuliwa akiwa akitoka msikiti after kuswali. Wanasema ni mwizi, aliiba nini?
Also tonight,
sana uliza serikali, mbona mchukue passport zetu, mtuambie tunaenda kazi and then atuendi hiyo kazi.
Thousands of youth scramble for jobs at Jesus Winners Ministry after President's directive. Plus, National Assembly committees reshuffle to accommodate Raila's party, sending Gachagwa's allies packing. Right, welcome to the bulletin. Tonight, Majengo residents took to the streets in violent protests today, leaving 37 people injured, including 2 in critical condition after clashing with police. The unrest erupted following the fatal shooting of 17-year-old Ibrahim Ramadan last night, allegedly by police officers. Enraged youth barricaded roads, torched police huts and set a police vehicle on fire as tensions escalated. The community is now demanding justice and immediate action against the officers involved. Sheila Chelanget opens our bulletin tonight.
Irate Majengo residents Wednesday morning set ablaze 3 uni-hut houses belonging to Kamukunji police officers, plus a police vehicle belonging to Shauri Moyo police station. All this in protest of the death of 17-year-old Ibrahim Ramadan, who was shot dead yesterday night.
Na yetu aliuliwa akiwa akitoka msikiti after kuswali. Wanasema ni mwizi, aliiba nini?
Early at 6 a.m., roads in the Majengo area had been barricaded, angry residents casting their blame on the police for Ibrahim's death.
Hapo msikitini, unajua vijana walimkimbiza. Sasa mna kitu anaweza fanya, ana shoot. Kwa nini ana shoot?
According to the police, Ibrahim was shot during a scuffle as 2 of their undercover officers were pursuing a man believed to be carrying bang. The officers were allegedly overpowered by a larger mob, but the twist is that police also identify Ibrahim as the suspected bang dealer.
Niju alimwambia aliachana na hiyo banki. Sasa wakati alimuitisha hiyo hongo akakataa, hapo ndio alikuja akamtoa nini akampiga risasi.
And so today, this area was a no-go zone, the clash between the police and protesters turning violent, with the situation escalating further following reports of a second death in the area, forcing businesses and transport activities to come to a halt.
Mimi sahi nimeenda Gekomba, si uwezi ingia Gekomba sahi kupitia hii. Uwezi, hebu niambie watoto wangu watakula wapi?
From the protest today, according to the Kenya Red Cross Society, there were 37 casualties, while 2 critically injured individuals were evacuated to different hospital facilities. For the better part of the day, the situation in this area remained tensed as residents hit the streets following the deaths that occurred in this area last night. They are demanding for answers and an immediate probe into the circumstances leading to the deaths that occurred yesterday night. Sheila Chelanget for TV47 in Nairobi.
Right, and still on the same breath, Ibrahim Ramadan, a 17-year-old boy who was shot and killed on Tuesday night, was today laid to rest at the Kariokor Cemetery in Nairobi County following a post-mortem exercise conducted at the Kenyatta National Hospital morgue. This as the body of Dennis Muthui, who was shot in Gikomba earlier today, is being preserved at the city mortuary awaiting post-mortem. Samira Mohammed tells us more.
The anguished cry of a broken mother. The heart-wrenching wail of a woman shattered by the gruesome murder of her 17-year-old son.
Buka ndio mtoto anafika hapo, ikawa na shoot, akashutiwa kwanza, wa pili, wa tatu, wanne ni Ibrahim akashutiwa kichwa. Alikuwa na shoot mwingine, huyo akamuona akalala, ikakuja imempata, ndio Muksara akasema Ibrahim ulikuwa nyuma yangu.
A post-mortem exercise conducted on Ibrahim Ramadan's body earlier today at the Kenyatta National Hospital morgue revealed that the Form 4 student succumbed to a gunshot wound.
It is reported that this young man was shot dead by a police officer who even jumped over a wall to come to the roadside and started shooting aimlessly. And he was shot in the head and he fell down on the spot. The post-mortem is currently ongoing as we speak, and we are hoping that we'll be able to get the body in a short while so that we can proceed for burial.
Following his burial at the Kariokor Cemetery on Wednesday evening, Ibrahim's family is now calling on relevant authorities to expedite on the investigations and ensure that justice is served to their slain kin.
Nawaomba jaribu kutetea vijana, haki ya binadamu ifanye kazi. Tunapata shida, tunadhulumiwa sisi wanyonge, hatuna haki, wallahi hatuna haki.
Justice must be done. You cannot kill youth every other day and then the regime is not doing anything to hold the killer police officers to account. What kind of a country are we living in?
The situation was similar at the city mortuary as activists, friends and family of Dennis Muthoi were denied access to the facility where the body of their kin is currently preserved.
Huku tumekuja hata ma human right tulikuwa hapa wakakatazwa hata kuingia kwa gate. Sijui shida ilikuwa ni nini. Wanakataa tu watu wakiingia, sijui uko ndani ni nini, ama ni vitu zinaendelea vibaya, ama watu wetu wanawekwa vibaya, hatuelewi ni nini, ni kama vitu zinavichwa huko ndani. So
26-year-old Dennis Muthoi succumbed to a gunshot wound on Wednesday morning after being shot on his stomach during an altercation between police officers and Majengo residents following the murder of Ibrahim Ramadan on Tuesday night.
Jana alipigwa risasi, manganda hadi ikaanguka hapo chini. Na venye tumesema tubebe mwili yetu, wakakataa mwili yetu, wakaleta huku city mortuary kukuja, tunapata ameandikishwa sijui Manda, sijui whatever, na wanaandika hawajui ni nani, na tulikuwa na watu tumeambiwa tuandikisha na tufuruga.
With Dennis' autopsy scheduled for Thursday morning, the family of Dennis has now called on relevant authorities to expedite on the investigations and deliver justice to Dennis and his family.
Our government, we elected you as government to protect us, not to kill us. You are killing the youngest generation, the generation that will vote for you tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Hawa wenye mnatuma wakatuue ni wanakufa kesho, they don't have a big life than us. When we terminate our dreams, what are we living for?
The Inspector General of Police, there have been a lot of killings of young people, but we've never seen an end or a conclusive report to these deaths. On this matter of Majengo, the Inspector General of Police, we call upon you to move with speed.
Samara Mohammed for TV47, Nairobi.
Right, we switch gears now to political matters, and allies of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua have been removed from key parliamentary committees in a sweeping reconstitution of the National Assembly leadership. The reshuffle, described as a ruthless purge, has significantly weakened Gachagua's influence in the House. The House Selection Committee tabled a new list of committee leadership, with the Orange Democratic Movement, ODM, party emerging as the biggest beneficiary, securing control of Gather's 5 key departmental committees. Our senior political reporter Elizabeth Mutuku with the details.
After a prolonged standoff on the reconstitution of committees in the National Assembly, the matter has finally been resolved. However, the reconstitution has not come without casualties, as allies of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua are facing a ruthless purge in the reshuffle, with some having been demoted from lucrative positions of chairpersons to mere members of committees.
It's in the custom of Parliament to recognize invited guests.
Among the biggest casualties of the reshuffle is Githunguri Member of Parliament Gathoni Wamuchomba, who was removed as chairperson of Constitutional Oversight and Implementation Committee CIOC and reassigned to the Members Services Committee, which is seen as less influential role. Similarly, Embakasi Member of Parliament James Gakuya lost his position as chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Trade and was moved to Parliamentary Broadcast and Library Committee. Runyenjes Member of Parliament Eric Karemba Mushagi, who opposed Gachagwa's impeachment motion, was transferred from Labour Committee to Constitutional Oversight Implementation Committee CIOC. The fate of Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro remains uncertain as he awaits election to determine whether he will retain his seat in the powerful Budget Committee, with sources suggesting that his stance on the Gachagua impeachment motion may cost him the position.
Whatever has been tabled before this House, Mr. Speaker, is kangaroo. It is null and void. It cannot operate because they are standing orders and the procedure and rules of this House, the traditions. When Mheshimiwa Kimani Ichung'wah, when several honorable members were de-whipped from committees, the Honorable Wangwe, who is the immediate former whip, wrote letters to specific members.
On the flip side, however, Raila Odinga's allies are now set to lead 5 key departmental committees: Labour, Budget and Appropriations Committee, Regional Integration, Health and Trade Committee, positions that have traditionally been held by ruling coalition. This comes even as schedule for elections is set to be actualized tomorrow.
Invoking the name of Kimani Ichung'wah to look popular out there, my friend, go and do those things in the County Assembly of Kajiado, not in the National Assembly. Spend your time in the National Assembly discussing matters of greater importance to the people of Kajiado North, who are suffering without roads.
Others exed from various key committees include Tetu Member of Parliament Godfrey Wandeto, who was removed from the Public Investment Committee on Social Services and the Department Committee on Information and Technology and reassigned to the Regional Development Committee. Kajiado Member of Parliament Onesmus Ngogoyo was removed from the Energy, Forest and Mining Committee and transferred to Parliamentary Broadcast and Library Committee, which is considered less influential. Naivasha Member of Parliament Jen Kiara was ousted from the Lands Committee and moved to Member Services Committee. Gatanga Member of Parliament Edward Muriu was removed from Justice and Legal Affairs Committee and Powers and Privileges Committee and now reassigned to the Parliamentary Service and Library Committee. Marakwet West Member of Parliament Timothy Toroitich, who rejected Gachagwa's impeachment as well, was removed from Justice and Legal Affairs Committee and Education Committees and now set to serve in Parliamentary Broadcast and Library Committee. Outspoken Mumias East Member of Parliament Peter Salasia was shifted from Agriculture Committee to the Members Services Committee, while Manyata MP John Mukunji was removed from Housing Committee and now is set to serve in the Committee on Oversight and Implementation. Changes in the National Assembly comes just few days after similar changes were effected in the Senate, which saw former DP Gachagwa's allies exed. Even now, they vow to fight back. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV47 Palm Buildings, Nairobi.
All right, Binol, the Minister of Labour and Social Protection will now offer loans to Kenyans aspiring to work abroad under Kazi Maju program to aid them cater for their flights and other requirements, to be repaid on an installment basis during a recruitment drive at Jesus Winner Ministry here in Nairobi. Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua said this will help Kenyans from humble backgrounds with opportunities to work abroad meet their needs, as the church targeted more than 6,000 slots offered by international organizations. Mike Kagwongo reports.
Wednesday morning at the Jesus Winner Ministry Church in Nairobi's Roy Sambo, more than 6,000 Kenyans from across the country scrambling for overseas jobs opportunities at the backdrop of high rate of dwindling unemployment in the country. The job drive, sparked by President William Ruto's pledge on Sunday, targets youth from the Jesus Winner Ministry, promising better prospects abroad. But even as the government pushes its Kazi Majuu program, many aspirants struggle to secure passports, airfare and other crucial resources. Roadblocks that Foreign Affairs CS Alfred Mutua vows to eliminate.
But natafuta kazi sijapata, then kusikia kuna opportunity plus most of abroad kazi unaambiwa ulipe commission ya pesa nyingi.
Hakuna vile mtu anaweza toka, tuseme mtu ametoka Bungoma, ametoka Meru, ametoka Western, amekuja kufanya interview na ashapita ile interview na hakuna kazi anapata.
Wale ambao wana hela, kuna commissions zinalipishwa. Sisi tunaanzisha mpango ambao unaharakisha tuone vile tunaweza kupata government funding. Unapata pesa, Youth Enterprise Fund ama uwezo ama zingine, uweze kupata hizo fedha, uweze kwenda ngambo, ukifika ulipe, urudishe kwa mpango wa kulipia polepole, ndio wenzako pia waweze kupata hiyo nafasi.
Degree holding nurses are one of the job categories having openings. They will be hired for positions in Australia, Dubai, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Germany. Private agencies including Blue Wave Agency, A&I Agency and Global Agency led the drive to recruit more than 5,000 youth for lucrative job opportunities.
Sio watu wengi wenye walikuwa wamekuja leo wangeweza kujilipia hiyo pesa ya flight. Kwa sababu wamesema hivyo watatulipia, si tukienda tupate kazi, tulegeshe hizo pesa baadaye.
Mimi niko 47 years old, lakini natafuta ajira kwa sababu kazi hapa Kenya zimekuwa na changamoto kubwa. Nilikuwa nafanya na kampuni nyingine pande ya Nanyuke na tukaweza kuretrenchiwa. Na hivyo basi nilipokuja katika biashara pia biashara zikawa zingiani vizuri.
CS Mutua warned Kenyans with ambitions to travel overseas against using unscrupulous means to travel, saying the Immigration Department shall not condone irregularities during the process.
We make sure kwamba ile agency na kupeleka ngambo iko registered na National Employment Agency. Usiende na travel agency. Travel agencies zinawapeleka watu Thailand, wengine wanaenda kule Myanmar, wanakuwa slaves, wanakuwa prostitutes, wanakuwa na slave labor kwa sababu hawakupelekwa na serikali.
The initiative aligns with government's commitment to providing meaningful employment to Kenyans while ensuring fair terms and conditions of work. As thousands pin their future on this initiative, the question remains, can the government deliver on its promise or with desperation lead many into the hands of scammers? Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, and speaking of matters promises, the Ministry of Health and the Social Health Authority, that is SHA, have dismissed claims that money from SHA contributions is missing. As suggested in the Auditor General's report, SHA CEO Robert Ingasira clarified that the funds are managed through 6 dedicated bank accounts and a specific M-Pesa account, all of which are used exclusively to pay hospitals. Our health reporter Elizabeth Atieno helps us to understand this.
The mystery surrounding the true ownership of a system that holds the health records of millions of Kenyans has taken an unexpected turn, with the Ministry of Health now differing with the Auditor General's report, which states that the government does not control the SHA system or own its intellectual property rights.
I believe the President addressed that yesterday. Yes. The President addressed that yesterday.
This coming a day after President William Ruto also expressed concerns about the report refuting claims made by the Office of the Auditor General that the government lost 104.8 billion Kenya shillings in the procurement of the Social Health Authority system. The president further blaming fraudsters, accusing them of looting the now defunct NHIF.
The leakage of resources, now we are able to track. We are able to track and hold accountability.
Hii makelele mnasikia kwa hii mitandao na nini ni watu ambao walikuwa wanaibia sisi siku ya NHIF. These are brokers.
President Ruto's remarks came just a day after the Auditor General Nancy Gathungo told Parliament to take action on those behind SHA technology illegalities. The Auditor General's report revealed that the ownership of the system and all intellectual property rights shall remain in the ownership of the consortium. But now, the Ministry of Health says it is ready to defend its management report on SHA at the floor of the House.
Collections for SHIF. We have bank accounts with the 6 commercial banks, And we also have an M-Pesa number that are fully registered under SHA, and those are the channels we are using to receive the money, and we reconcile our receipts with those banks on a daily basis. And I can assure you that there is no single cent that goes somewhere else.
We are cognizant of the issues that were raised by the Auditor General. The Ministry clarified and substantiated each issue and provided the management report to the Auditor General.
The Auditor General's report further states that the project, which was not subjected to competitive bidding, was excluded from the procurement plan and mid-term budgetary expenditure framework, violating Section 53, subsection 7 of the Public Procurement and Assets Disposal Act of 2015. Treasury CS John Mbadi has also defended the SHA program, saying they will disburse 6 billion Kenya shillings to fund the primary healthcare and the emergency chronic and critical care funds.
I hope and I believe that the line ministry will do justice to Kenyans by making this system work, make it more efficient and make it more accountable.
A statement from State House has confirmed that NHIF had a debt of 33 billion Kenya shillings when it was winding up its operations in November 2024. All hospitals with a total claims of 10 million Kenya shillings and below will be paid in full, with those with more than 10 million will be subjected to a verification exercise that should be completed within 90 days, after which a payment plan will be agreed upon. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
And still on matters health, the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, that is KUCO, has downed tools demanding that the government implement the return to work formula they signed in 2024. The striking clinical officers have also announced plans to collect signatures to petition for the censure of SHA officials. However, the Minister of Health has urged the health workers to return to work, emphasizing that they have received their salaries. Our reporter Anastasia Mukabi has more.
Following the ongoing universal health coverage staff demonstration, the Ministry of Health has urged the health workers to resume to work, stating that they have already received their salaries.
Patients out there are suffering, so if they are on salary, then they need to serve the Kenyan population, even as we engage their leaders to ensure that their concerns are addressed.
As the UHC staff strike persists, members of the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers stormed the Ministry of Health and the Social Health Authority building to vent their frustration, the deliberate discrimination and exclusion of clinical officers from SHA, non-implementation of their return to work formula signed in the year 2024, delayed posting of interns and absorption and payment of gratuity for UHC staff.
Sio waimbaji, hatujakuja kucheza dombolo. Sisi ni watu werevu, hatujakuja hapa kwa sababu ya majibizano.
Level of the internship to those who are retiring and to the higher specialists. And the reason we are here today, as we always say, it is not because we like walking under the sun. It is also not because we like dancing on the roads. It is because our dignity has been threatened as a profession.
The clinical officers have started to collect signatures to petition in Parliament for the censure of the SHA officials for the discrimination of Kenyans and the clinical officers from SHA.
The board wa SHA waondolewe. Sisi tumechoka na board. Waondolewe ili Wakenya wapate huduma.
Anastasia Mkabi, TV47, Nairobi.
And tonight, the government has denied claims of an attempt to undermine the autonomy of the Auditor General in the Public Audit Amendment Bill 2024, currently before the National Assembly. National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah has dismissed the claims as propaganda, even as critics warn the bill could undermine the Auditor General's office independence due to the Empowered Audit Advisory Board, which, once the bill is passed, might create conflict of interest and have control over budget and hiring.
An attempt by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah to fend off claims that the government is not seeking to undermine the independence of the Office of the Auditor General in the wake of her audit reports exposing government entities, the latest being the Social Health Authority SHA. The Public Audit Amendment Bill 2024, currently before the National Assembly and headed to the committee stage, is causing jitters with a section of lawmakers and human rights groups, fearing the Auditor General might become a target and be removed as the head and accounting officer of National Audit Office.
And we want to encourage you that we who are believers in transparency and proper utilization of the funds of this country, we are going to stand with you. Let nobody threaten you with whatever it is we can hear people saying in the corridors there. Kenyans are behind you. They are fully behind you, and we as representatives of the people are also fully behind you.
In a statement on X, Ishungwa has dismissed the fears, saying, and I quote, "The propaganda lords have crafted their own non-existent bill on the office of the Auditor General with provisions that only exist in their infertile imaginations." Jitters on the bill come even as head of the Public Service Felix Koskei pushes for a zero-fault audit of all government entities, meaning no audit queries should be raised, a directive that Kadhungu has rejected.
And I have to audit and issue a report. Schools, I'm still behind. Now we are planning for 2023-2024 for 9,000 schools. You look at those financial statements, they are not even auditable because there's some level of training that they need to go through. Now, if we say that we do not audit, what is the cutoff?
Certain clauses in the bill and the preceding act, among them the powers of the Audit Advisory Board to have control over budget, human resources and other matters, have raised concerns on conflict of interest as members of the board are from entities the auditor audits. Critics further argue empowering the advisory board to oversee budget and HR operations undermines the Auditor General from operating independently. Critics have also raised concerns on the new bill, which they say limits the qualifications of individuals seeking the Auditor General's office, with the bill stating a practicing member of good standing of a professional body of accountants, a proposal they say will open the doors to foreigners on a body that audits sensitive security agencies. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Now to a story that we have been carefully following just for you. The family of Brian Odhiambo, alongside human rights activists from Vocal Africa, have defended the request for public inquest into his disappearance. Odhiambo, a fisherman, went missing over a month ago after allegedly being arrested by Kenya Wildlife Service (KWS) officers at Lake Nakuru National Park. Representing the family in court, lawyer Abuya Mugendi urged Magistrate Vincent Okello to allow a fresh investigation into the case. Our Nakuru-based reporter Chichi Josephine reports.
Days after Brian Odhiambo's family and human rights activists filed an application for an inquest into his disappearance, the team defended their request for a public inquest at the Nakuru Law Court on Wednesday. Appearing before Magistrate Vincent Okello through lawyer Abuya Mugendi, they urged the court to allow the application for fresh investigations into the disappearance of Brian, who disappeared on January 18, 2025.
I have again moved to this court because it is vested with the jurisdiction to carry out a public inquiry, to inquire the circumstances surrounding the disappearance of an individual who may or may not be dead.
However, the ODPP opposed the application, urging the court to dismiss it on the grounds that it was premature, further arguing that there was no body present to prove that Brian was dead and thus no basis to initiate an inquiry.
We submit that this application at this stage is premature. Directing an inquest will preempt the outcome of the investigations, which are at a very active stage. We are urging this court to allow each state organ to conduct its mandate as stipulated by the Constitution by dismissing this application.
The court is expected to deliver the ruling on March 13, 2025.
We urge that the court does not send IV Aoko, a family from the seat of justice.
Chichi, Josephine, TV47, Nakuru.
Right, from Nakuru, allow me to take you all the way to around Transmara and Kisii, where business has been disrupted and learning halted amid ongoing conflict along the Kisii-Transmara border. The dispute, which was fueled by cattle rustling, has caused significant destruction of property and seen lives lost. To restore calm, security officers from Kisii and Narok counties held a meeting to discuss ways of reinstating peace. However, tension remains high, with Kisii residents claiming that over 34 of their cattle have been stolen. They also accuse some police officers from Narok County of being complicit in the theft.
Shule wanafunzi wanahangaika, hata sisi venye mnaona mimi mjamzito nahangaika, vita wa Maasai wanakimbia na sisi hata kukimbia. Sasa tumeafektiwa vyakula huko Maasai, mahindi, mboga zetu, cabbage, wameharibu yote, wamechoma manyumba. Sasa tujui serikali mtusaidie njia ya namna gani.
Tunasumbuka hata sukuma ni 7,000. Watoto wetu wanahangaika. Watoto wetu wakienda shule wanasikwa njiani na Maasai. Sasa hiyo ndio tumesindikikana, tutafanya aje? Serikali yetu tusaidie tupata amani.
Kuna hasara ambayo hatutaweza kukadiria ambayo imetokana na hiyo vita. Miwa nyingi zaidi ya eka 100 ishachomwa, watu washapoteza maisha, watu wengi pia washafikwa mishale. Tumepoteza mali mingi ambayo imesidi hiyo ng'ombe moja na njao imeibwa.
Right, it is 30 minutes past the top of the hour. Time for a short break. Remember, a big conversation tonight, women in entrepreneurship. And we're going to be having this with Victoria Karuga. She is the president of Federation of Women Entrepreneurs of Kenya, as well as Purity Kimotho. She is an entrepreneur as well as a business trainer. To help us understand this, women out here, tell us your challenges in starting up a business. If you have a business right now, what kind of challenges do you face? That plus quite a number of stories just for you. Don't go too far.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Now, you might have noticed some people, wherever you are, having some cross on their forehead. Let me tell you why. Catholics across the country have today turned out to churches in large numbers to commemorate the fast day that marks the beginning of the Lent season, popularly known as Ash Wednesday. This season is observed for 40 days, during which Christians observe in fasting, prayer and repentance in memory of the suffering, death and resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Catholics in Nairobi turned out in large numbers to mark Ash Wednesday, a significant occasion for Christians as they reflect on its meaning in their faith and the church at large.
This is basically a reflection of the 40 days that Jesus got to spend in the wilderness, and it's also called to us as Christians to observe the same in terms of prayer and in terms of fasting as well.
Hii Lent inatumanga sisi kama wa Catholic tujue ni mwezi wa kunyenyekea, kujinyima na kuomba sana.
The situation was similar in Kikuyu and Bungoma, where Christians were urged to practice generosity, especially toward the less privileged, and to reflect on their faith in preparation for the suffering, death, and resurrection of Christ.
Ni msimu ambao si wa furaha, kuna mambo ya furaha, kuna zile bwembo ambazo tunakuanga nazo katika ibada za misa. Kwa hivyo ni msimu ambao ni wa mtulivu, msimu ambao tunalikwa sote tuwe na huo moyo, that spirit of resurrection, ili tuweze kumrudia Mungu.
Tunakubali kuwa hatuko wakamilifu na tunaomba toba kwa Mungu katika hii kipindi. Tunaomba Mungu aweze kutujalia neema ili tunapoishi na wengine tuweze kuona ukamilifu.
In Kitui and Mombasa, faithful were called upon to uphold peace during this Lenten season.
Kipindi cha Kwaresma, siku 40 za kujitolea kwake Mwenyezi Mungu, tukiomba, kujinyima, kuonyesha upendo.
As Catholics embark on this 40-day journey of Lent, they look forward to a season of hope, culminating in the celebration of Christ's resurrection on Easter Sunday. Juliet Njoroge, TV47.
Right, now to some distressing news here. And Kenya is staring at a 52 billion cash shillings budget deficit in the 2024-2025 financial year after the United States, through its USAID program, withdrew funding for key initiatives. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi, appearing before senators, defended the government's plan to cover the shortfall through supplementary budget, instead of waiting for the 2025-2026 budget cycle. The cut also affects 16.5 billion cash shillings meant for food security programs in arid and semi-arid regions. Paul Kirobi tells us more.
Appearing before the Senate on Wednesday, the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury John Mbadi revealed how Kenya will incur a whopping 52 billion shillings deficit in the financial year 2024-2025 after the United States, through its USAID program, withdrew funding on critical projects. Some of the affected sectors include health, governance, education and food security. To address these funding gaps, the government has been forced to review its 2024-2025 budget. It will therefore have to prioritize critical areas such as health, governance, education and food security. All of this will be reflected in the supplementary budget. The government has tasked county governments with ensuring that critical services remain uninterrupted moving forward. Meanwhile, the government will also engage development partners to help fill the gap.
This administrative action has actually exposed our vulnerabilities and calls for concerted efforts to address them to ensure Kenyan self-reliance. Our Vision 2030 overarching goal is to transform Kenya into a newly industrializing middle-income country, providing a high quality of life to all Kenyans or citizens.
The only way to ensure self-reliance is for the government to focus more on supporting agriculture, small and medium enterprises, achieving universal healthcare, and fostering the creative economy for job creation. CS Mbadi also revealed that the government is also focusing on reducing public debt vulnerability and creating fiscal space, which will be supported by revenue mobilization efforts. Other measures include reducing non-essential expenditure, automating procurement systems to increase transparency, and rolling out a zero budgeting approach across all sectors. CS Mbadi's statement comes a day after Deputy Chief of Staff Eliud Owalo announced a new approach to performance management in government organizations. The draft performance management bill will require government organizations to demonstrate tangible results in line with their specific mandates. Once enacted into law, the bill will hold entities accountable by making performance appraisals legally enforceable. Paul Kyobi, TV47.
Itself as a prime hub for large-scale real estate investments by fast-tracking the expansion of special economic zones nationwide. However, Dr. Kenneth Chelule, who is the CEO of the Special Economic Zones Authority, warns that an unpredictable regulatory environment is discouraging investors. He is now calling for a collaborative, multi-sectoral approach to attract and retain foreign direct investment in the sector. Our business editor, Backside, reports.
Kenya's foreign direct investments have been steadily rising towards the $10 billion mark, defying a strained macroeconomic environment and waning investor confidence. However, this momentum may soon slow down as economic growth projections have been revised downward by 50 basis points to 4.6%.
Talking of around 3 billion square meters of build space that are yet to be put up. And this is what we're trying to sell to investors here who will become our partners and potentially invest together with partners whom we'll be looking for as we go towards America later this year.
Remember, real estate investment drives economies. And for us, it's now taking our platform, Apex, and bringing the economy there and making sure that investment comes back into Kenya in this sector, which obviously will grow the economy, grow kind of jobs, grow industry.
Stakeholders in the real estate and property sector, however, believe they may have a solution for these deteriorating projections.
The tax incentives include a corporation tax of 10% for 10 years, 15% for the next 10 years, and thereafter the tax is 30%. Stamp duty is exempt, import duty exempt. If we are using raw materials from Kenya, for example, building, the VAT is eroded. Withholding tax is also exempt. The capital gain tax exempt. So they are.
Through aggressive marketing, CEO Dr. Kenneth Chelule believes that special economic zones and high-value property would be the next frontier of investment.
Offer unparalleled incentives to them for purposes of accelerating development of infrastructure and by extension providing opportunities for investment so that we can add resources, we can add value to resources that are available in this country, in the process creating jobs and encouraging FDI into this country.
This, he says, would only be achieved with a stable regulatory framework, which would be a major selling point.
Right, and Kenyan businesses are being encouraged to capitalize on opportunities at the ongoing China Import and Export Fair in Beijing. Despite rising global trade tensions, the event offers a chance to source quality products, explore new markets, and strengthen trade ties, with China. Ronald Meru, chairperson of Trade and Economic Diplomacy at the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, reassures traders that China remains a key supplier of quality goods with favorable business-to-business connections that help protect profit margins.
It's going to be a very good opportunity for practices like value addition, technology transfer that is going to be showcased there in China.
The government of China is committed to fostering trade and investment between our two nations. Through platforms like the Canton Fair, we aim to support Kenyan businesses in expanding their access to high-quality goods, technologies, and expertise, all of which contribute to Kenya's economic development and industrialization goals.
during the Canton Fair, they'll be able to see different products in different phases based on their.
Right, we get into matters sports, and we start off with matters junior starlets gearing up for World Cup qualifiers, but then we'll be getting into that a little bit later on matters sports. But then remember, ladies and gentlemen, told you on the marketplace tonight we focus on women in entrepreneurship. On Saturday, which will be the 8th of March, will be International Women Day, and tonight we are putting a special focus on women in business and just really trying to understand what needs to be done more. And allow me to introduce our esteemed guests this particular evening. First off, on my left, Victoria Karuga. She is the president for Federation of Women Entrepreneurs of Kenya. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. And
to the far end, Purity Kimotho. She is an entrepreneur, she's a business trainer, among others, and I know even for you, Vicky, among other hats, which I'll definitely allow both of you to tell us who you are. Interestingly, ni kama memo ya kuvaa black ndio mlipata. I'll start off with you, Karuga. Away from matters FOEC, tell us your journey into business and this particular male-dominated field over the years.
Okay, I think somehow you always know you're going to be an entrepreneur for some reason. There's always a push towards that direction. So I graduated from architectural school. I worked for 4 years, but I knew at the back of my mind it was to help me through entrepreneurship. So started that journey, realized that I wanted to grow bigger business, and I moved to the space of people development. Started a company called Profiles International, and now we work with people. We grow, we manage talent, and we assess people. We do all things talent. But as a woman in business, and why I joined the Federation of Women Entrepreneurs in Kenya is because there are certain things that are peculiar to women and entrepreneurs in general, but I think some of them are to women. So joined FOEC as a movement to see on some of these issues around advocacy and policy. Is there something that perhaps if we bring our voices together, we could raise them to the public and then get to talk about them.
Right.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey, can't complain. I think, and fulfilling. Yeah.
Right. Before I talk to Kimotho, kindly tell us what FOEC does in a nutshell, because I know we'll definitely be chiming into, you talk about matters policy and advocacy. I know we'll be chiming into as we continue, but then in a nutshell, what does FOEC do?
So it stands for the Federation of Women Entrepreneurs in Kenya, and it is also the Kenyan chapter for the COMESA Women in Business.
Okay.
So COMESA have a faction of theirs that speaks to women in business, and this is because the COMESA mandate in general cannot really be fulfilled if we don't tackle some of the issues affecting the interregional trade between the COMESA states. So it was formed to basically tackle issues around how do we empower women to be able to do trade with each other in the 21 COMESA countries. So in each country, what we try to do is educate women, capacity building for women, not only just in terms of matters business, but also in terms of matters cross-border trade, because some of the markets, our women are very entrepreneurial. They'll take a bus and go to Uganda and do business. So you're trying to really equip them with knowledge and awareness. We're trying to provide channels of access to affordable capital, because our affordable, grants or loans and things like that, speak to those. The big one is networking. One of the things that plagues every business person, not just women, is the lack of information and the lack of access to networks. So we try and provide those opportunities, give women access to networks within the COMESA region and further. And then we run projects. Like one project we've run is the incubation of business women to take them through how they can, value engineer some of the products that they offer, take them through having them registered with the KEBS, the standards body, and have their products in the supermarkets, and that has been quite successful, I must say.
Right.
Yeah.
Kibonso, I mean, the same for you, this particular journey that you have had. Walk us through how it has been and why an entrepreneur? And I'm asking that because we'll be taking a look at a certain report that was released by MasterCard, actually released today, that focuses on Eastern Europe, Middle East, and Africa, which says 51% of women consider themselves as entrepreneurs. So now to you, why do you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
Yeah, for me, I think some people say entrepreneurs are born, others are made. I was not born an entrepreneur. I was a proper corporate girl until necessity pushed me out.
Okay.
And that is 14 years ago. I worked in corporate and in telecommunication and other industries. And
right.
Then
Just a minute. I'm informed that we have to correct your mic in a few. But then, so back to you. This particular report, so even as we now chime into this report, as I say, focusing on Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, and you realize some interesting patterns in these three areas. For first off, matters 51% of women considering themselves as entrepreneurs. Goes on to break down that 55% of millennials and 57% of Gen Zs are now most likely to identify as entrepreneurs. And I'll start off with that because now these are two particular age groups where we definitely see the gig economy, them embracing the gig economy. You know, the bloggers, you know, a certain dynamic shift of not the kawaida, you know, I have to set up a shop and I have to be here 24/7. You know, it's a different, you know, kind of system for them. Walk us through what they tell you, because I know you definitely engage with them a lot. The millennials as well as the Gen Z, you know, young ladies out here. What do they tell you? What are their thoughts about businesses and entrepreneurship?
First, it's been made easier by the digital economy. It's so much easier to set up shop, sell there. Some of them have never even had to meet some of their clients. You know, you have a beautiful shop which is in your house, but online looks like it's really big. You send your wares wherever, and they're making considerable tons of money. What they tell me, of course, is some of the times they want to scale, and they don't know how. Secondly, they also get into trouble sometimes because they are not aware. One of the things that I think we don't pay attention to is the money. And by this, I mean the numbers themselves. So KRA, you know, is going to catch up with you at some point, but you're just bringing in revenue. And then all of a sudden, here comes this guy and you've not been paying attention. And that is not because they don't want to do the right thing. It's a lack of awareness, So they struggle with that. And by the time, I think even for me as an entrepreneur, I was discovering that the relationship with the Revenue Authority is actually a good one if you understand it. But that took time, leaning into those conversations and really seeing that actually, I always say the Kenya Revenue Authority has really changed from what it was. And those are some of the things I think the young people grapple with. Market access as well. And but I think the time has left us where only the big players would have access to market. It's kind of been democratized by the accessibility to market at almost any level.
Kiboto, now back to you. We have your sound. Still know what you're telling us, your whole journey. You're telling us that for you, it wasn't about being born from corporate girl. Yes, continue.
So as an entrepreneur, personally, I was not born one. I always saw myself working in a big corporate, earning good money, driving a nice car, living in good neighborhoods and all that comes with a corporate girl. But then necessity forced me out because I was just looking for something I could do and allow me to have a family, especially a child. So that is what entrepreneurship for me was more of sustenance thing. It was more of looking for another means of earning a living away from a corporate job, and that's how I got out of employment and started something very small. I started with very, very small businesses. And before many months, we started a car import business, Urban Drive. That was about 3 months out of employment. Very, very small, pure bootstrapping and all that. And entrepreneurship, like you have said, I think the figures are more because however much we are saying women are empowered, we are so far, especially in Africa. So you find women don't do businesses for many things. They only do it to have their families feed, to have their kids go to school, and to take care of many other aspects of life. but also they're also stuck in that smallness and not able to scale up.
Right. So,
yeah.
And so you mentioned a very interesting point of the need of it.
Yeah.
Because now here, there are two things.
Mm-hmm.
It's either you're really passionate about,
yeah.
you know, being a business owner, or you actually just need to. Whichever job you're doing, it probably stopped, or you realize that I've been in this company for 10 years. This is not, you know, what I do, and I have to do this business out of, you know, necessity.
Yeah.
For you, first of all, how was that particular shift from corporate? Because again, there's a certain each and every single month, you know, I have this, you know, amount of money in my account. But then on the other side, you really have to, you know, hustle and actually look for this money. How is this particular shift?
I can't say it was easy, but I must say also that it's more, the big issue is the mental preparedness. It's actually not even the money, according to me. For me, it was a big move from wearing heels and suits, and then one day I have to be in sneakers, jeans, t-shirt. Nobody cares how educated you are. Actually, you just pack your certificates and keep them somewhere. And it wasn't that hard, but I must say also I was not very prepared. If I was to do it again, I would go for business coaching. I would first learn what it is like to do business. Even despite going to business school myself, it was still very different. The academia and the connection to now the real business world is totally, totally different. Nobody can teach you business, by the way. You just have to do it. You learn as you do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Vicky, when young girls out here, young ladies out here, they look at, I mean, first of all, the both of you, and you know, as entrepreneurs, there's a certain image they see, well, it looks easy, but then they don't really understand that whole, the kind of hard work.
Yeah.
We have about, I think 2 minutes before we take a short break and continue this conversation. So in these 2 minutes, unpack to us, when you talk to some of these young ladies, as she says, that mental change when you realize, kumbe, it's this hard.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Actually, I had a forum this morning exactly about that.
Okay.
And I think the personal resilience plays a big role.
Okay.
Because business is never linear. It's not, it doesn't go straight. It goes like this, then it goes like this, then it goes backwards. And no one, like I remember someone telling me, I know where business people go wrong. You don't, you know? You really don't, because we know where we are going, and sometimes where we are going, we haven't seen that there's a mountain before it. So when we see the mountain, it's like, okay, hang on, we have a mountain. Now, what do you do with this mountain?
Right.
And maybe that will cost us another year back or something. So I tell women the amount of resilience you have to build for yourself is really essential.
All right. So some definitely interesting insights coming from both of you. Thank you very much so far. Ladies, as well as even gentlemen, tell us the kind of challenges that you experience. Now, for ladies, what kind of challenges as a business person do you experience and have you experienced so far? What kind of tricks have you learned so far as well? Talk to us on our social media platforms. On WhatsApp, 0793-267-279. Also call us live even as we come back. We'll be coming back with Matters Sports and then continue with this conversation. Don't go too far.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
Sports News brought to you by Maybets. Join Maybets leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1 au draw X au away team 2 kwa game ya siku ya free bet. Weka namba yako ya simu, weka password ya account yako. Chagua submit free bet. Utapata free bet kwa account yako ya Maybets. Usisahau kuverify account yako. Kama hutakuwa verified, utapoteza free bet yako after 2 days. Betting is strictly for 18 years and over. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. BCLB number 0000578.
Maybet na minia na najishindia. Pesa inavutia,
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. This is the Daily Report. Catherine Simalo is on sign language. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. To matter sports now, the national women's under-17 soccer team, that is Junior Starlets, are set to depart tomorrow for Uganda as they set to lock horns with their noisy neighbours on Saturday in the first leg of an enticing World Cup qualifier tie. The Mildred Churchill-led side will be hoping to clinch all 3 points ahead of the second leg tie that is set to be played on the 15th of March at the Ulinzi Complex Centre in Nairobi. The Starlets will be on the hunt for history as they aim to make it to the World Cup for a second time in a row.
Nawe tunaenda kuchukua 3 points. Kila mtu ashajitolea. Kuanzia bidii ya coaches, officials hadi kwa sisi players. Kila mtu ako na imani tunaenda kuchukua 3 points tukuje nazo home.
Push a lot cause tunafaa work more hard cause tunajua last time timu ilikuwa walifikisha Kenya World Cup under 17 na this time pia tunajua tunafaa kufika, na unajua ukiwa mwanafunzi wanasemanga this time ukikuwa na target ya B next time utakuwa na B+. So this last time tuliishia kwa group stage and this time tuna believe tunaenda kwenda beyond.
Playing away is tough but we are ready. We are expecting a positive result. If we can get the 3 points away, good for us. If we don't get the 3 points, we are pushing for at least 1 point.
Meanwhile, World Athletics President Lord Sebastian Coe applauded Kenya's efforts in combating doping and also commended the country's steps in tackling gender-based violence. The IAAF Supremo was speaking earlier today after meeting President William Ruto at State House, Nairobi, earlier today. Lord Coe also held separate meetings with Sports Cabinet Secretary, that is Salim Vuria, and Sports Principal Secretary, Engineer Peter Tum at Talanta Plaza. He also held discussions with Athletics Kenya President General Retired Jackson Tuwei at Riadha House. The 68-year-old Lord Coe is in his final term as president and he is eyeing the top job at the International Olympic Committee, that is IOC. He is one of 7 candidates in running to succeed Thomas Bach.
I've remained committed to ensure that we avail resources every year, to strengthen sensitization, testing of athletes, and also, doing investigations.
I know the Athletic Integrity Unit, which is the independent organization within World Athletics that monitors and does all our testing programs, is very satisfied by the progress that is being made.
And to matter Safari Rally now, and Kenya betting company Betika has announced 65 million cash shillings sponsorship deal as the official entertainment partners of the World Rally Championship. In an event held in Nairobi, the betting company also unveiled their drivers. Carl Flash Ismail Azeli. The WRC Safari Rally is set to begin on the 20th up to the 23rd of this month, and the flag off will be held on the 20th at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi.
In 2025, sasa vile meona, Betika has come in an even bigger way. They've gone to the same spaces, but creating even a better experience for the spectators. There'll be entertainment there. They've told us they're putting DJs, they're putting musicians, they're putting big screens. When the Safari Rally is in a different stage, watu ambao wako pale kwa hema, they can watch what's happening in other stages. So we really thank Betika supporting us with 65 million shillings. It's a lot of money. We really appreciate it. We appreciate their support for the drivers. Carl Tundo is a champion, and we look forward to seeing Team Betika at the Safari Rally.
It's going to be an amazing race this 2025 season. I'm running under the ARC, which is of course under WRC. So it's an African Rally Championship. So I'm looking forward to finishing, at least getting a podium for this time, because last time we did not manage to get one.
I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting. I'm hoping it'll rain a bit. It's a bit hot at the moment. I think we'll battle with a lot of dust if it doesn't rain now. I look at it as I do every other Safari Rally that's out that I've done in the past, is just take it in my own stride, and that really helps if you're not looking at anyone else's times, or it's a different form of rally. It's more of attrition, so you race your own race.
You know, it is about the entertainment. We have so much spent on supporting the drivers and supporting many other things, but we have noted that the spectators come here, or the fans come here, and they are suffering from the conditions which we have there, and therefore we chose that, like last year we did, to put villages where people can come, enjoy, and watch the game in a safe and better environment. So we said this time round, why not make it much better to bring sherehe to the people, so that when you are watching and you are supporting your favorite driver and teams, then you are also comfortable where you are watching from.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets. Join Maybets leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1, au draw X, au away team 2 kwa game ya siku ya free bet. Weka namba yako ya simu, weka password ya account yako, chagua submit free bet. Utapata free bet kwa account yako ya Maybets. Usisahau kuverify account yako. Kama hutakuwa verified, utapoteza free bet yako after 2 days. Betting is strictly for 18 years and over. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. BCLB number 0000578.
Maybet na minia na najishindia. Pesa inavutia, inavutia.
Right, Matters Sports news done there. Ulikuwa nasema Matters sherehe is sorted for Naivasha, on Matters the preps for WRC. We switch gears now back to our conversation tonight. Women in business and women entrepreneurship, and just boosting this boosting women and making sure that there's much advocacy for the same. In studio, in case you're just joining us right now, Victoria Karuga, she is the president of the Federation of Women Entrepreneurs of Kenya, stood right next to me, and Purity Kimotho, the far end. She is an entrepreneur as well as a business trainer. But then, before we get into this conversation, we definitely would like to know what you are saying out here, and specifically on matters, the kind of challenges that you as a business owner face, as a woman business owner. Let's hear what Kenyans have to say and then get back.
Ile changamoto wanawake hupata ukianza biashara ni ukosefu wa pesa, capital. Kwa sababu biashara ni lazima itahitaji pesa ndio uanze. Lazima utoke mahali. ndio uweze kuendelea. So sasa mwanamke akipewa pesa ama wanawake wakipewa pesa, biashara ni nyingi ya kufanya. Tuseme ameenda kukopa mahali pesa, unaweza enda kwa bank, kwa sako. Zile vitu unaitishwa sababu anaitisha title, logbook. Na hizo ni vitu zinasemekana ni wanaume sana sana wanabebana na hizo vitu. Kwa hivyo mama akiangaliwa aseti yake anaonekana hana kitu isipokuwa tu watoto.
Ni kuwa saa ingine inakuwa labda bwana yake hana pesa ya kutosha. Sasa hiyo ni shida moja. Tena wakati mama huyu anatafuta pesa inakuwa kazi gumu, kwa sababu kama ni loan anataka ni lazima awe ameshagia kwenye kama ni sako.
Economy imeenda juu sana. Maisha imekuwa gumu. Pesa hakuna. Pesa yenye inapatikana unaigawa inakosa kutoshea. Lakini mama akipewa support tu kidogo na serikali anaweza enda mbali. Hawajapata. Wanawake wamepewa support lakini support yenye wamepewa haijatosha bado. Lakini ukimpa mama, mambo yote itaenda sawa. Kwa sababu mzee anaweza kuwa hana kitu, mama analeta kwa nyumba. Na ndio nasema ukielimisha mama, umeelimisha dunia mzima.
Definitely, ukielimisha mama, umeelimisha jamii nzima. Talk to us out here and tell us the kind of challenges and the kind of actual experience that you face. Ladies, this is your platform. I'm seeing quite a number of your feedback coming in on our WhatsApp number, 0793 267 279. You can also call us live, by the way, and tell us the kind of experience that you have had in the number of years. And in case you just want to start a business, we'll be having the ladies on set tonight telling us the kind of process that you can follow. Call us live, 0795 045 864. Vika, let me to start with you on what the lady and gentleman was saying in Nyahururu in Laikipia. The lady talking about the dependency on it's either your husband, and the gentleman talks about even SACCOs, and this goes to show the kind of full dependency that most women would have. I'd really want to start a business, but there's always that but. Sina hii na sina hii na sina hii, ama bwana atasema hii na hii na hii. You'd have definitely experienced this with the women you talk to. How does this conversation go? After they say but, is there a solution to that?
This has still to be adequately addressed. Even the policies that we have still don't adequately address the access to capital. Women face unique challenges. Like she said, collateral. Where is the collateral? Some of the interest rates being charged for these loans are ridiculous. And yet statistics show that when a woman does business, actually it's her community that benefits. She feeds her uncles, she does a lot for the community. As opposed to men, by the way, and that's data. I'm not hitting on men. That's just the way it is. So we are yet to push enough to have that inclusive investment. And women don't really need a lot. We women are a bit more risk averse. We don't ask, a man will go into the bank and ask for 100 million. I'll ask, what will I do with that 100 million? But our business makes a lot of sense, but we still have a big gap. Especially, sometimes I think when we live in Nairobi, we don't see the real picture in the other parts of our country and how they really are. Yeah.
Right. And you talk about data, and this is definitely what we're going to be looking at largely. I said MasterCard has released a very interesting report just today, and it's definitely timely. First off, it says 18% of women say they do not know how to start a business. This is compared to 11% of men. In correlation with this, it also goes to say that 31% believe entrepreneurship isn't really their thing, So that means that quite a number of women out here are in this particular gap of this particular data. Kibotho, as she says, women won't really need a lot to have a business running. There are a number of women listening to you tonight, and they just really want to know this particular, tricks, tips and tricks. How do I even start a business? In your experience, how does she out here start this business, whatever it would be? Probably kama ni mama mboga all the way, and rising to this particular scale of business that she does. How does she start?
Starting has no formula, you just start. That is for sure.
Okay.
And number two thing I would want to comment is about capital. I haven't heard anybody say they had enough capital, that's why they started a business. By the way, it's very dangerous to start a business because you have money. There are two categories of people. People who start a business because they have money, then the people who start a business to look for money. And the truth is most women will be starting a business to look for money, like we said earlier, to take care of things, to take care of food. And I know when I talk to banks, I hear them say that they have special funds for women, women in business. But I ask them, what is the challenge? I have been able to talk to certain managing directors of banks in this country, and one of the things they keep saying and repeatedly is that women don't keep records.
Okay.
So it's as simple as your husband left with 200 shillings to buy food for the day, and you can decide that day that that 200 you'll buy cabbage and resell. It's that simple. You have an access to, I like using this, I'm sure, an analogy saying, you borrow 1,000, you go to Marikiti, for example, or Nyahururu, where she is, buy cabbage or bananas, and then you have already identified the market, which is the work there. Actually, markets are harder to fight than you know, starting the business itself. Because when you're starting a business, who is the market? Who is going to buy your product? When you start there, it's easier. So you go sell your bananas, make 50 shillings, make 100. It's not a big thing. You have to start very small. And in Africa, when we say we are not entrepreneurs, it's very risky in Kenya especially, because how many corporate jobs are there? How many government jobs are there? Very few. You will find our economy lands, most employment is actually created by SMEs. SMEs is Mama Boga, Mama wa Kibada, Mama wa Hardware. So those two people you see working around that mama, that is the employment we look at in Kenya. So,
but then, and sorry to cut you short, but then someone who works maybe in corporate or maybe even, you know, the government sectors, they'd ask you, I have an 8 to 5 job. How do I split my time to ensure that I can actually also be an entrepreneur?
Yes.
And in my 8 to 5, I don't, I maintain my work flow.
So if you're, so what do you do before 8, by the way? Because let's assume when you woke up at 5, like a normal Kenyan. So between 5 and 8, and then after the 5, what you do in those times, that's what will decide how financially stable you become, realistically. I mean, like she mentioned here, we are now in the digital age. You can sell anything, whether you have it, whether it's yours or not.
Okay.
So if you have a phone, actually if you have access to Facebook and you spend, you know, these days Facebook can tell you how many hours you spent every day.
Yes.
4 hours on average. What are you doing on Facebook for 4 hours and you're not selling anything?
Even TikTok, I realized it gives you, I think, a weekly report of how much you've spent.
Yes. So assuming that personally I sell cars, for example, if you came and talked to me nicely and said, I have seen you have these Mazda CX-5, for example, I can do very good content on that Mazda CX-5 and then market it. I'm just giving an example, a scenario. And then now you go post it wherever. And then you sell and make your 20,000. Starting a business is not hard. Okay. So you start there, and then with time you build your own capital, because there's no bank that will go, you go to the bank and say, I have this big idea, I need 10 million Kenya shillings. I assure you that will not happen.
Right.
They will need to see how you start with 200 shillings to 1,000 to 10,000, and now we are talking about 1 million. And luckily, even now, most banks, circles, they have what they call mobile loans. You borrow and return on the phone without necessarily going to. So let's start there.
Right.
Then let's keep records. You sold two cabbages today, have those records and take them to, even if it's a normal black book, write everything that you do. Where did the money go? You sold, bought stock, used fare, start putting those records. Right. And then she mentioned earlier about accessibility to information. There are so many women programs happening and accelerator programs that have been going on. I just finished like one sponsored called She Trades. I finished another one in January for 9 months. All of them fully funded. It's unfortunate that it's only foreigners who fund our programs. I'm looking forward to very soon Kenyans being the one funding our programs here to help women in business.
All right.
Yeah.
Vicky, chime in on the bit of matters, keeping records. And now, because what you know, she was alluding to was someone who sells probably cabbages and has to have all that record. But then we were talking about the gig economy, and particularly for the millennials as well as the Gen Z.
Yeah.
And the kind of jobs that they do, someone would probably, they don't have much responsibility. So they look at, well, if I've been able to earn this, then I can be able to spend quite a number of this. Talk to the number of young ladies listening to you this evening on how they make sure they have their records, as well as even saving this amount of money, the kind of tips and tricks to balance all that.
So financial management is a skill, and you learn the skill. You either learn it the hard way, or you go and look for information and actually understand what it entails, which is why I was saying pay attention to the money. One of the other biggest things that statistics has shown that plagues women is the lack of financial literacy. Actually, that's a really big one. Even before you talk about access to capital, financial literacy is a really big one. So hence, case in point, there are no records, because I don't understand that even records are meant to really help me. So we have so many tools now. Your phone has a capability of keeping records sometimes. There is a sort of fallacy that M-Pesa are records. Those are not records when it comes to a banking institution. You have to put in money into an account, even if you're going to remove it and use it for something else. You have to show those sort of transactions. So if you're starting out right now and your business is on the phone, get a bank account. Put what you earn at the end of the day into an account, then remove it. Invest in this...
money market fund?
Not even money market fund yet. Hey, that one. Invest in your business. Your business is a money market fund first, but you invest in these small apps that are there that are help you to track your expenses, track your revenue. You don't need a whole QuickBooks and all those other things that come with it. Nowadays is everything. So digitally, actually, you have everything you can to manage your finances, but you need to learn. And again, now with Google, you have a lot of resources out there that can teach you how to do that. So women, if you're young, you have to be curious about money. You cannot make money and then go do your hair at the same breath and then go spend this. You have to really have good business manners, financial manners from the very beginning. And you'll find even it works for you, because then you can also track. You can say, I'm making this much money. One of the questions we get asked is, are you paying yourself? Questions like that. And those can only come if you start looking at a business like a business, I think. I can put it that way. Not as the way we start, I was trying to make money to pay rent. This,
Yes. And whatever you're talking about, now this definitely would affect, would cut across both men and women. You start something, someone has listened to you tonight, and they decide 2025 is my year to do this. But then they reach around November, December, they realize, no, I have done what Vicky told me, what Kiwatha told me, but no, this is not, working. And they decide, let me, let me shut down. And we've seen a number of startup businesses in the country over the recent years closing down for quite a number of reasons. How do you ensure that for the next 5 years, up to 2030, your business is still there?
I think when you're starting a business, really, the way that I see it and the way maybe I've experienced it, we can hear what Purity has, is you're really focused on building the business model. You're not aware of it, but you are, because you're trying to figure out what products am I selling, how much am I selling this product, what's working, what's not. So you're kind of conducting market research, unaware, and then you're also trying to get people to work with you. There's so much there that's going on that sometimes it's difficult to even think about my model for the next 5 years, you see. So, but the first point of really getting yourself, what she mentioned, a business mentor or coach, is, I think for me, one of the not cheaper, but one of the life hacks. It's actually a life hack, that you can have for yourself, because it will help you and guide you into how do you do things right from the beginning. But I can tell you for a fact, 90% of businesses they just start. As she said, we just start. So you are bound to make many, many mistakes. So don't do things on your own. Get a mentor to help you walk through that. Go online. Nowadays, there's so many courses, there's so many programs, because we cannot cover what you need to do in these few minutes. But there is so much support out there. Investing in yourself, in your learning, is, everyone says this, but as an entrepreneur, it's probably the best thing you'll ever do for yourself. It preempts so many problems. It gives you things to think about. Getting into networks that support entrepreneurs themselves, that's another thing. So having these circles, you'll hear someone say, I tackled this way. Oh, okay, there's this organization you need to join. Oh, okay, there are these people giving grants. Why don't you apply? So social networks that build you and support you, learning skills, getting a business mentor or coach. Those are longer term ways to ensure that you get through that 5 years. Yeah.
Right. Kim, also from corporate Gali to now the business owner that you are in, and you decided, let me do cars.
Yeah.
And this particular report by Mastercard, which we are dissecting as we go on, shows that food and drinks, different sectors now. Food and drinks takes about 21%. Online retail, 18%. Education, now this being tutoring, 17%. And cosmetics at 17%.
Yeah.
And this is a question that most women have right now. Okay, fine, you have convinced me, both of you have convinced me that I can start a business and I can have up to 2030, I can have a very strong business. But which business am I starting? And they're trying to run ideas in their minds. Which one is the best kind of, which sector do I go to?
Yeah.
You might probably not tell them, go for this one specifically, but then how do they make this decision?
Yeah, like I said, most African women will start a business for sustenance.
Yes,
but if you're a real business person and you know what you want, most likely you're going to solve a problem. As an entrepreneur, actually, the reason you should be going to business is to solve a problem. And then in the process of solving a problem, you give value to a customer, and then you make money. That is how it's supposed to be. Which business? Which business identify a problem or a gap? For example, let's say, let me give you a very simple scenario here. You see some blocks of apartments coming up, let's say on Kiambu Road or Lavington or wherever. And then you're like, the people who will be here need to eat. Where will they eat, for example?
Yes.
And you just home, maybe you just lost your job, or for whatever reason you don't have a source of income. And you need to figure out how much can they afford. And then there you are, they can afford, let's say, 80 shillings for a meal. So what meal is 80 bob? And then now you go ahead and do what needs to be done. So I know sometimes business sound like such a big thing, but it comes from very small things. Even people who started like apps like Uber, they just saw a gap. People started like, I don't know what Elon Musk saw when he was studying the electric cars. But yeah, it started with a gap. Like she says, nobody knows, you really don't know what is ahead. Actually, for business, you jump, then every day for a business person is it's a new day.
Okay.
It's totally new. You don't know actually what will come on the way in that. So there are big macro environment factors. Then there are the micros inside your business. You have your employees. You have, KRA to deal with. You have, you have marketing, all those things. By the time I have a book called 70 Realities and Rules of Running a Successful Business. So this is not an academic book. It's the realities that personally I have faced the past 14 years, just trying to run a business. And when you read it, you're already in business, you're like, oh, so this is normal. If you have not started a business, it just prepares you. It just prepares you for there's something she mentioned about business money. I talk about it here. Business money is not your money. If you want to go buy a shoe, for example, and your business, you sold revenue of 20K, remember revenue also is not profit. So that financial literacy she's talking about, which I am very passionate about, is what you need to know, even if you're an engineer or you're a medical doctor or a wakili. Those are basics that you need to learn when you're going to business, because they will save you a lot of problems. And nowadays we have what we call Google and actually YouTube University. You can literally get everything from Google if you have the time to read. If you don't have the time and you need to sit with someone, you can still sit with someone and get so much knowledge. She also mentioned about networks. When you go to forums, I have met women who are still employed who want to leave employment in networking forums, and they keep their ears open. They listen to what people are doing. So if, for example, let's say you want to export coffee and you meet, in my last training, I met like 4 people who are exporting coffee out of Kenya. So what we do you identify one person and then they become your mentor. That way now you know where to start. How do you get funding? How do you get the market? You talk to that person and get information. So as much as we are saying which business, there is no correct answer to that. The truth is you have to sit down and decide. Even I cannot tell someone. If you come and ask me how to do car business, I'll tell you. But I cannot tell you how to do fish. I do not know about fish.
Yes.
You'd have to come up with your own research and figure out why are you even doing it in the first place. And then you move. You make mistakes, you rise and continue.
All right.
Yeah.
Vicky, a final question before I get your final remarks. And also, even as International Women's Day is nearing, I'd like both of you to wish someone out here Happy Women's Day. But before we get to that, and this is something that a number of people are really asking, how do you deal with the loss? And you realize, yes, as much as you are either made to get into business or you're either born to get into business, from where you sit as president of FOEC, for the young girls out here, they haven't reached this particular age to actually know that business would be something that I'd want to do. But then how do we start training them as young as they are to know that this is something that I can actually do, and it's not as as complicated, as hard as I may see out here?
There are still forums. There are still programs that are run for young girls in universities, in colleges. But even business education, the one that we did, is one of them. I think they're doing business actually. Like they're selling tush. In the colleges, they're doing quite a bit of business, small-scale business.
And younger than that, younger than in high schools and...
oh, the younger ones?
Yes, the younger ones.
I think let them be children.
Okay.
Yeah, just let them be children. I think one of the things we forget is that children were meant to be children and to play and to learn through play, and as they grow up and they identify. The reasons why I say I was more into entrepreneurship is because my father was an entrepreneur. So I grew up in that space. So for me, it was natural that I wanted to go in that space. Never mind, my mom was employed by government, but that didn't appeal to me. So I think we are nurtured by the environments that we find ourselves a lot and the people that we hang around with. So perhaps maybe organizations like FOEC and other ones, there are many out there, could have initiatives together where we take these young girls and speak to them. But the person who really excels is the one who's curious. So my advice to the young girls asking questions, I'm happy you're curious now, but be even more curious. Go look for further information. Look for us on socials. Ask us questions there. We'll direct you to the places you need to go, because these things are they're not easy to just tell you right now. But if you get great places of mentorship, you will go very far. I have an example of one entrepreneur, last thing. She started her business at 19.
Okay.
It's been 17 years since she ran that business. She can give you her whole story. Why did she start her business? Because she got pregnant. She couldn't go to school anymore. So she needed to make money to feed her son. What did she do? She baked cakes. Now she runs a whole catering company that does about $1 million to $5 million.
Right.
Go figure.
So because of time, I definitely have to wrap it up. You, someone who you'd want to shout out?
Gosh.
Okay, I'll start with you, Kimotho.
Yeah.
A very brief, a sentence of your final thoughts and someone you'd really like to wish Happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, women do very, very well in business, and I really recommend that they go to business. And I also want to ask men, because we can't do without them, to support their women, in their circles, their sisters, their mothers in business. Because like she said, when you empower a woman, you empower a whole community. And also let them seek out information. Like she said, let them get curious about what is available for me. Where can I get help? And I'm telling you, if you're looking for something, you will surely find it.
Definitely.
The good thing with business in Kenya, you'll find that someone who dropped out at class 2, another on Form 4, another one who has many degrees like me, all of us doing the same thing and earning an income. I would wish I want to wish a few women Happy International Women's Day. The ones who told me they will be viewing. One is called Shiko Mui. She learns Torito Gardens, and she does other businesses. She's in real estate. And then there's also Grace Wangari. She runs Nairobi Outpatient. Very, very hardworking women. And my mother, who was a real businesswoman, but she also did it just to feed us. And I think that is why I never wanted to do business, because I mean, it was just feeding us and that was it. But I actually have dedicated one of my books to her. I'm sure she's not watching, she's in the village, but I dedicate and wish them well. I wish her also a Happy International Women's Day. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
So, any list?
Happy International Women's Day to Christine Casina. I think she's doing a lot of work, good work around super moms. She has a super mom as an organization, and she tries to empower mothers.
Right.
Yes.
So, Santeni Sana, and happy International Women's Day to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Victoria Makaruga, she is the president of Federation of Women Entrepreneurs in Kenya. Thank you very much for your insights, and definitely seeing what Foink is doing out here, as well as Purity Kimotho. She is an entrepreneur, a business trainer, as well as an author. We've seen her books here tonight. Thank you very much, ladies, once more, and happy International Women's Day to all of you women out here.
Yes.
Courtesy of TV47 and Radio 47 and Cape Media at large. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. Catherine Simaloi has been on the sign language docket. Have yourself a wonderful Wednesday evening. Goodbye.